Hola a todos, bienvenidos. Welcome to my little mini series on limpiezas. So these are spiritual cleansing rituals from Latin America. If you missed my first video where I list off different types of maldades or spiritual maladies, I will link that in the description. So make sure you watch that one first, and then you can come back and check out these videos about different types of limpiezas. In this video, I'm going to talk about limpiezas liquidas. So these are water-based cleansing rituals, but they can also involve oil, rain, perfumes, or different types of liquids. I'm basically going to be reading off of my notes from my little spell book. I have a very thorough system of note-taking, so it really lends itself to making these kinds of videos if I just kind of read off of it in this sort of list. So first on the list we have sprays. So these are liquids, water, sometimes rum, blood, that people put in their mouth, and they will spray it at the person that requires cleansing. They can be used in different initiation rites. They can be used for cleansing purposes. It all depends on the brujo or practitioner. Second one here are buckets. So these ones, Puerto Ricans use this a lot for New Year's Eve, where they will fill up a bucket and they'll clean their whole house, their whole space, and then on New Year's Eve they will take that bucket and dump it outside at midnight. So that's sort of another thing that you can do with liquid limpiezas. You can fill up the bucket with different sorts of things like cedar. That's another Native American sort of cleansing ritual where they'll make sort of a cedar tea and they'll use that to clean their whole bodies. So you can do that with Florida water. And then we have baths. These are very customizable depending on what it is that you would like to do. You can submerge yourself in the bath, you can meditate. A lot of baths are used for spiritual cleansing as opposed to bodily cleansing. So a lot of soaps and things of that nature will not be used, like shampoos, conditioners. So it's mostly suggested to shower, to cleanse yourself beforehand, and then soak in the bath. So the bath is not for physical cleansing, taking dirt off of you and stuff like that. It's mostly for like spiritual cleansing, for manifesting whatever it is that you're looking to do. They're very customizable. Next on the list we have aguaceros. So aguaceros are basically rain showers. The very popular one in Puerto Rico is the 1st of May. So not the literal day 1st of May, but it is the first shower, the rain shower in May, the first aguacero de mayo. So it's considered very good luck to go out into this rain shower specifically. So it can sort of be like a cleansing ritual in itself, a sort of ceremony that people do for good luck. Then we have holy water or anointing oil. So this is something that has been blessed or imbued with magic, a sort of sacred power. It can be blessed by a priest, so you can have that sacred holy water from a priest, but it doesn't always have to be that. You can have moon water, sun water, moon oil, sun oil, it all depends. So it's just a sort of liquid that's been anointed. Next on the list we have rivers. So this is moving water that carries away evil or bad energy. Sometimes there are deities or spirits, guardian spirits, sort of indigenous spirits that are related to specific rivers. For example, the Tanamar River in Puerto Rico, that one I visited, and it has a sort of freshwater spring right up in the mountain where you can get drinkable water, and the indigenous people used that sort of as a sacred site, and Tanama literally means river in Taino. And so that relates to our next one, which is fresh water. So this can be spring water, mountain streams, lakes, and fresh rivers. Water that can be drunk? No sé. Or filled with minerals, and those can be boiled or distilled, so sort of drinkable water, fresh water. Rainwater can also be used, so this sort of links to aguaceros. Rainwater is sort of like a pure, sort of symbolic water that's, rained from the sky, so there's a sort of sacredness to that as well. And then as opposed to fresh water, rainwater, you have sea or salt water, which can be sort of a barrier or protection due to the salt content, but it can also be linked to different deities, spirits, or guardians of the sea. Next on the list we have bone broth, which is used in voodoo, hoodoo, and sort of as a replacement to animal blood, which is sort of like a more humane way of using that animal's essence in your spell work. So if you don't want to use blood, you can sort of use bone broth as opposed to that. So whatever sort of food that you have, if you collect those bones, you can make bone broth out of that instead. Which leads into the next one, which is using blood, which is sort of like the essence, life force of a person or animal. To give blood or to shed blood is sort of like a sacrifice. It's an offering that you give in your spell work, so it can create a protection barrier. It's something that's very powerful. However, because of your DNA being linked to it, because of it being part of your own essence, you can't disconnect yourself from whatever sort of magic work that you're doing. It's always going to be linked to you. So whatever it is that you use blood for, make sure that you're being very careful with it. Next up on the list, we have vomit. So this can be intentional vomiting as a ritual purge. This can be done to empty, cleanse, or become worthy of performing different rituals. This is linked in my research to Taino mythology, Taino sort of ceremonies where they would actually have a vomiting stick. The bejique, or the shaman, he would use this stick to vomit and sort of purge himself during a fasting process in order to commune with the deities, with the spirits, so that way his body would become a vessel in order to do this, in order to become a proper vessel for the sacred, for these different sort of deities. Next on the list we have spit, which is completely different from vomit, I must note. So spitting can be a form of spraying because of saliva, to ward away, to curse, to jinx, or to banish. To spit at someone is sort of like demeaning a little bit, so it's a little bit of baneful magic. So using spit in your rituals is sort of like baneful magic, where you want to banish, you want to keep away, to create a barrier of protection. Next on the list we have alcohol. A lot of it is used in the form of rum, specifically white rum as opposed to spiced rum. Along with a lot of other ingredients such as hallucinogenics that can be used in order to create a trance-like state in your spell work. So by ingesting alcohol, you can become into a sort of trance work in order to do your magic, or brujería, espiritismo. They use rum or alcohol. They can be given as offerings, so it all depends on what it is that you're trying to achieve in your spell work. And then last on my list, I have tea. This is used specifically in Curanderismo and by herberos. So it's used for healing, both physical and metaphysical, for spiritual ailments. It can be used with different ingredients. It's very customizable. So it all just depends on what it is that you're looking to do. Tea can be very helpful for mundane issues such as digestion, insomnia, things like that. So that was a not so little list of limpiezas liquidas, or water-based cleansing rituals that are found in Latin America. Let me know if there's any that I missed, if you have any suggestions for different types of limpiezas, or if you've done any sort of limpiezas in the past. I would love to know about them. If you have any questions, let me know as well. These are just notes that I've written in my little spell book after doing research for years about just practices of brujería, curanderismo, shamanism in Latin America. Let me know if there's any that I missed, if there's any sort of limpiezas that you do. I would love to hear about them. Let me know if you have any questions about these sort of limpiezas. Check out my other video about maldades if you haven't already. And then in the future I'm going to be doing a video about limpiezas de fuego. These are fire-based cleansing rituals. And then another video I think about just miscellaneous limpiezas that don't fall under these categories. So if this is something that you're very interested in learning about, then subscribe to my channel. I have links to my link tree in the description below, so you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and all those social media platforms. Thanks for watching!